Alright, y'all, I know it's been a minute, but I'm back with another video. In this video, I'm gonna be sharing with y'all how I relapsed and pretty much the progress of my sobriety journey so far. My bad, y'all. Pretty much the progress of my sobriety journey thus far. I started this challenge in the beginning of the year. I started this challenge in December of last year. January, February, yeah. I did 2 months clean, 2 months sober, no weed, no nothing, for 2 months straight, up until February of this year. And then after that, I quit my job and I started back smoking. Ever since then, I've been smoking ever since. That was back in February, like I said. So from February all the way up until September, I've been smoking weed just right back where I left off. Been 7 months back on the same cycle. And so I just wanted to share with y'all, of course, because this series is an ongoing series. And I just want to give a disclaimer. This series is not about being perfect. It's about showing the real journey, even the setbacks. And so, yeah, I'm gonna just be open and honest about where I'm at right now. So like I said, I've been smoking heavy 7 months straight. I ain't gonna say heavy, but you know, I've been smoking regularly on a regular basis for 7 months straight, and that was not my goal, especially not going into this year. It wasn't to fall back into the same old habits, but life be lifing and things happen. So the one thing that I can do is take accountability and acknowledge, where I am right now, and just be honest with myself. Because back then when I first started, I didn't really know what my goal was. I just knew that I was being called to stop smoking. And like I said, I didn't know how long I wanted to do this for. I just wanted to challenge myself and see, how capable I was. And so I showed myself my strengths, what I'm capable of doing, my discipline. I pushed limits and things like that. I seen a lot of progress. I seen so much progress within those 2 months. And I've also seen progress that stemmed from that 2 month process. So I went hard for 2 months straight. And then even during these 7 months of me smoking, I'm seeing results from the work that I put in for those 2 months. You feel what I'm saying? When I first started this channel, y'all, I had about 36 followers. And that was from my old content, having a couples channel. But I started with 36 followers. I did my journey. I went hard. And I seen results coming in from the work that I put in months ago. I gained almost 300 subscribers just based off the work that I put in during that time of being sober. So I'm like, that was really, really, really profound. That really made me want to get back on my grind. I'm sweating like a dog in this car, y'all, so bear with me. Yes, it's hot and I have a jacket, but for those of y'all that know, y'all know that keeping your body covered in the heat is a smarter choice than being exposed to the heat. Anyway, nonetheless, back to the story. Like I said, where I'm at right now, I'm back in the cycle, y'all. I'm back in the cycle. I know that I want to stop smoking again because I enjoyed the benefits that came with it, and I owe myself that. So, I'm willing to give this thing another try, another chance, but I may do things differently this time. But I'm gonna get into that in a second. So, but what I learned from actually relapsing, oh man, was there a difference in my productivity, in my mindset, in my energy? For sure. Let me actually get into that. So while I was sober, during that 2 month span, I actually had another spiritual awakening. And I talked about that in my previous videos. Because right when I stopped smoking, I had a shroom trip. I put all the weed up. I smoked this is my first time doing this challenge. I smoked up all my weed, before I started, I smoked everything up. I got rid of everything, the edibles. I took all the edibles. I smoked all the weed. I did all the dabs. I did everything that I had access to. I got rid of it. I consumed it all. And then I came across some shrooms that I had sitting for a while and I never tried it. Or I never finished it. So I said, this gotta go too. So I took the shrooms and then bam, I had a freaking awakening. But during that awakening, it changed my productivity. It changed the way I viewed myself and the way I wanted to see myself successfully. And so I intentionally grinded when it came to fitness, when it came to education. I studied, I read. When it comes to my diet, I switched my whole diet. I went vegan. My hair, I locked my hair back up, and I just started freeforms. A freeform lock journey. Everything just changed. My mindset shifted. And so when I relapsed and I started back smoking, those things were still a part of me. I had a routine that I was doing, and I was really getting myself into the flow of things. And when I started back smoking, it didn't necessarily throw me off. I carried those principles and those, those qualities that I gained while being sober. I carried those with me, and so that was a plus. I can't really say that things changed, but things proceeded. Things progressed for me, actually. As far as my mindset, it's just almost disappointment when it comes to, what do they call it? Cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance is where the human beings, we know what's detrimental to us. We know what's not good for us. We know smoking weed is not good for us. Some of us by now, we know that meat and dairy is not good for us. We know that not being active and not being fit is not good for us. Not being mobile and not being active. What else? We know that staying up late past midnight is not good for us. Not good for your productivity. We know certain things aren't good for us, but yet we do it anyways. It's like temptation. It's like the weakness of the flesh. And that's one thing that I battled with while I'm, smoking weed. During this relapse, I'm just dealing with a lot of self-sabotage. And because I was falling weak in that area of constantly picking up the weed, I was falling weak in other areas as well. I was giving excuses to other areas of my life. And so, I fell off on my fitness game. I fell off on my social media game. I fell off on my content. I fell off on, my bad, y'all. I had to relocate to a cooler spot because my phone was overheating. But back to where I left off at. I was falling off. I felt like I was falling off my purpose. And then that was pretty much the last, one of my last realizations that I had that made me say, you know what? I got to get back on my grind. I have to get back on my focus and my discipline. And I have to get back on my journey, because what am I doing? I've wasted 7 months just doing DoorDash. And I literally quit my job, my job at the beginning of the year, because I was constantly working and overworking myself, and I didn't have time to focus on my purpose. So I quit my job so that I could focus on my purpose. And I told y'all where it led me. It led me to 2 months of greatness. And just having the thought of quitting my job, because initially when I started this new channel, I said, I have to chase my purpose. I'm not sure if I belong at this job or not, but I'm going to document my process, so I can help other people and help myself understand what I'm going through. So I can articulate the things that are going on in my mind and the things that I feel. I was working, and I did 2 months sober. And, it was great. 2 months sober doing content, making content while I'm sober. Me being sober drove me to my purpose. It assisted me with my purpose. It guided me through my purpose. And so, when I picked the weed back up, I noticed that I was falling off my purpose again. I said, whoa, hold on, Jordan. Ever since you stopped back smoking, you fell off. You stopped posting videos on Instagram. You stopped posting videos on YouTube. You stopped trying to create your new businesses. You just freaking stopped because You got overconsumed with DoorDash. You said, okay, I don't work for Jimmy John's anymore. I have to find another source of income. And you dove too deep into that hole. And now you got to climb your way back out. And so, I'm glad I made that realization, because just because I'm working for myself and I'm working my own hours, creating my own schedule and things like that, it's still not enough. I'm still overexerting myself. I'm working 8 to 12 hours a day, y'all. 8 to 12 hours just to make $150 to $200. And I'm like, yo, I could be putting all that time I just spent out there, I could be putting that time into my business. And I can give DoorDash shorter amounts of time if I just grind and have faith and believe. If God showed me the vision, then he will guide me to the destination. You know what I'm saying? And so that was pretty much how my mindset went. That's pretty much how my mindset has been over these past couple of months and things like that. My mindset has been shifting, and I'm starting to come back into my purpose, and I'm starting to realize certain things, and I'm ready to step back and make that commitment again. So I'm gonna talk about a couple triggers and habits that actually pulled me back into this same cycle. One of them was my company, the company that I keep. They still smoke weed. My fiance, she still smokes weed, and I've been influenced by that. Not blaming her or anything. I'm just saying these are some of the circumstances in my life that pulled me back in, which is the influence. And I think another reason that I was pulled back in is because I'm my biggest support system. And I get tired. I get exhausted. And it's natural. It's natural for human beings to want to give up. Even to want to take a break and to just feel some sort of comfort. That's what it is. We seek comfort, Doing hard things is uncomfortable. Trying to be sober is a hard thing. So it's gonna get uncomfortable. I just tried to give myself some grace. That's what it is. I felt like that I was working hard and I was really dedicated, and that I deserved a reward. I felt like I deserved some sort of acknowledgement for the things that I was doing and going through. And I'm not saying I didn't receive it. I might have took some things for granted. Some things might have been right in my face and I didn't realize it because I was so stuck in my head. But in all honesty, yeah, sometimes when you realize that you're the only one in the community that you see every day, the community that you have, the company that you keep and all of that, when you see that you are the most driven and you are the most optimistic, it makes you think, am I doing too much? Like, I'm trying to be perfect. I'm not perfect. And then so I do things to confirm those thoughts. Like, you're trying to be perfect. You're not perfect. Look at everybody else around you. You think you're better than everybody. Like, you're not perfect. So it's okay to mess up. And so I messed up on purpose. I self-sabotaged. Not gonna lie, y'all, that's the truth. But I don't want to keep repeating this cycle. I don't want to keep letting myself down. I don't want to be disappointed in myself. Because I'm so driven, because I'm so optimistic, and because I know what I'm capable of, I want to chase that. I want to receive that. I want to have that. I want to embody that. The person that I can be, my greater self. That's why I don't want to keep repeating the cycle. I see good things in my future. I think very highly of myself. I admire myself. There's an image that I admire about myself. There are certain things that I admire about myself. And, I'm my biggest cheerleader. I don't want to let myself down. I deserve these opportunities. I'm deserving of change. I'm deserving of prosperity. I'm deserving of abundance. That's why I don't want to keep repeating these cycles. And so that's why I'm starting again. That's why I'm starting again. Give myself the chance. Everything starts with you. You feel what I'm saying? So I can't blame anyone but myself. I can't blame the outside world. I'm not blaming anything. I'm just making observations and doing what's necessary, using that wisdom with action, you know? I'm starting again because I want a clear mind. I told y'all in my previous videos why I even wanted to start a sobriety journey, why I wanted to clean up myself, the things that I wanted to see for myself. You know, I want to retain more information. I want to be able to be more creative. I want to be able to be more authentic. I have higher energy levels. You know, be more optimal in my performances. And most of all, for spiritual growth, I want to grow. I don't want to keep weakening myself, weakening my temple. Now, trust me, it's not easy, but I felt better, and I deserve that. I want that again. So this is my plan moving forward. Like, this is what I'm going to do differently. I tried it. I did my trial. What they say? Trial and error, right? What I'm going to do differently this time is I'm going to apply a more realistic strategy. I didn't really have a strategy going in the last time. I just said, I'm not smoking no more. And I was alone. I was by myself, so it was easy to make that decision. But now, it's like, okay, what are you going to do when you are faced with influence, different influences around you? You did it all by yourself. Congratulations. But now, how can you continue to push forward with influences around you? You know what I'm saying? It's really the only difference. Now, I told y'all that certain things that I cultivated during my sobriety journey, I carried with me, even during my relapse. Certain things like my routine, fitness, working out, and writing down goals. I would always make sure that I get up, I meditate, I work out, even if I didn't do it every day. That's been part of my lifestyle now. So as far as my routine and my fitness, my prayer and my meditation, that's a must. That's a must in order to keep me focused and disciplined. So that's not going to change. I'm just going to be more harder on myself. The second thing I'm going to do differently is if I do feel as though I want to treat myself to a smoke session, it'll only occur after everything on my daily to-do list is done. So if I don't get all of those things done by the end of the day, I won't be able to smoke. But if I can get everything on my list done before the end of the day, before it's time to hit the hay, then I'm going to smoke me a J, because it's like a reward. And I'm going to get into the reason that I even still feel as though weed still has a place or can still serve a purpose in my life. I'm going to get to that towards the end. Or I may just do a separate video titled something like The Reason Why I Smoke Weed, or How I Utilize Marijuana. Something in that nature. I'm going to explain to you guys why I actually even still deal with the drug. The point is, I'm not focusing on forever. I'm not focusing on being sober forever. I'm just taking it day by day. You feel me? You feel me? Because what did I say in the beginning? This series is not about being perfect. It's about showing the real experiences, the real journey, the real challenges, the setbacks and all, the wins, the losses, the whole thing, just transparency. I came across a video where I am explaining to you guys my views on weed, or the purpose that it serves in my life as of now. Before, weed was used as a tool for me to cope. It was a coping mechanism for relief. A stressful situation, smoke. You know, instead of just thinking it out, I would smoke. Instead of just meditating and praying and waiting for answers and being still, I would smoke. When I was bored, I'd smoke. If I wanted something to be better, if I wanted the show to be funnier, if I wanted the food to taste better, I really ain't use it for that. But if I wanted my shift to run quicker, if I just used it to enhance things as an enhancer and as a coping mechanism. But I came across a video on YouTube that pretty much explained the purpose of weed and how weed is actually, like a psychedelic drug, like mushrooms, acid, and things of that nature. Like weed falls in that category. Actually, people just don't understand how to use it. So the weed will give you whatever result that you're trying to get, or like if you're smoking weed because you're trying to forget, you're gonna forget. If you're smoking weed because you're trying to be a comedian and you're trying to be the funniest guy in the room, that may just occur. But if you're smoking weed because you want spiritual insight, it will give you that. If you're smoking weed because you want to relieve inflammation, if you're smoking weed because you're having a tough time in your relationship right now, and you ask it because it is alive, it is nature. Just like if you talk to your water, it holds memory and it responds to you. Same thing with the weed. It's a spirit. It's alive, which means it has a spirit. When you talk to it and you put your intention to it, treat it like a session. Treat it as if you're going into a spiritual session, a therapeutic session, right? And so be intentional. If you want to be more creative, like for example, I struggle with visualization during meditation, and in general, kind of. So when I sit and I meditate and I want to picture my dream home, I have troubles placing things where they need to be. I have troubles visualizing the color of my home. I have troubles just visualizing where do I start. So I feel like it's a lot of commotion in my head. So I would use weed to allow me to visualize. I would ask it. I would say a prayer to it. Dear sacred herb, I ask that you bestow upon me the skill, the gift, the ability to visualize my dreams as I feel them. Allow me to put my feelings and my emotions into thoughts that turn into visions, that turn into realities. Something in that nature. But that's one of the main reasons why I still keep weed in my arsenal, is because I want to tap into the true powers of the herb, of the healing properties, of the spiritual benefits that marijuana can provide. And so, I'm going to be diving into that. Might dive into more psychedelics, might dive into other things. But, that is something that I do keep in my arsenal. But it's not a lifelong commitment. I don't see the weed man every day. I'm not a frequent smoker. I'm just an occasional smoker. That's my intentions. My intentions is not to be a frequent smoker, just an occasional smoker that uses the herb to guide me in certain directions and provide me with certain assistance, answers, and things like that. It's like a door. People smoke weed thinking that it's going to do things for them, but it actually provides you with the necessary information in order to push forth. So yeah, that pretty much is it for this video. I don't want it too long. I don't want to wrap y'all head off. But I will be doing weekly updates. I know I said this before in earlier videos of the series. But like I said, things be a struggle and life be happening. But y'all know I'm all about accountability and stuff like that. So I'm trying to hold myself accountable. Y'all hold me accountable too. I need to see y'all in the comments saying, what's going on, Jordan? Where's the content? Where's the videos? How are you doing this week? Are you okay? We are worried. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I hold myself accountable. Y'all hold me accountable as well. I want y'all to share y'all setbacks in the comments. Share y'all stories of how y'all journey is going. What are y'all doing to stay on track? what are some strategies that y'all use, and maybe we can help keep each other accountable. I want to thank everybody for watching this video. I want to thank everybody for watching this video. I appreciate all the support. Make sure you like this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel for more. Love y'all. Peace.